So today I want to share a little bit about when you are kind of in the thick of your health journey, what does it really look like to start making changes? And do you need to find the right protocol, the right diet? When is it appropriate to use those things? When is it appropriate to cut those out? What do we really need to focus on when we want to just feel better? And how do we do it in a way that is not creating more stress on the body? I want to share my tips with you because I have been through it all. And I want to share things that I learned along the way that I think will be super helpful for you. So if you're dealing with that chronic fatigue, you're tired all the time, you have that seemingly endless list of symptoms that just keeps growing, I want to share my tips with you from things that I've learned over time that have been beneficial, things that maybe were not so helpful, things that were helpful for a season, but then I had to change it, and so on. So let's dive into that. Hey friend, welcome to Rise Up from Fatigue. Do you want to have more energy throughout your day, every day, and feel good again? Do you find yourself up late at night wondering if there is a natural way to help you feel good in your own body and move with confidence? Do you wake up with big, ambitious goals only to feel overwhelmed when you just don't have the energy and are exhausted? Again. Hey, I'm Melissa. Not long ago, I too struggled just to get through my day. I felt tired all the time and wished I could do more. I wanted to feel like a new person and feel good in my body. But I kept telling myself I didn't know how, and I was overwhelmed with not knowing what to do. Until I found natural solutions that helped me find the root cause and treat my fatigue and other symptoms. In this podcast, you will find root cause education, natural remedies, and learn how to live a less toxic lifestyle so that you will reclaim your energy and your health. So grab your filtered water and turn off those notifications. It's time to get you out of survival mode and into thriving. Okay, I would love to know, at what point are you at right now in your health journey? Are you in kind of the beginning stages and knowing something's not right, something needs to be addressed, need to make some changes? Are you in a point of desperation where you're just feeling like your health is on a rapid decline and you're desperate for help? You know something's wrong, you just don't know what to do about it? Are you somewhere in the middle of all that? Are you in one extreme or the other? Kind of where are you at right now in your health journey? For me, I was not too long ago. It's probably been about, I want to say 2018 was finally the year things started getting better. So for the last almost 10, 11 years, something like that, was when I started making changes. I started shifting the type of practitioners I was seeing. I finally hit my limit on the fact that nothing was changing, and it was starting to feel as if I was being looked at as a hypochondriac when I knew something was wrong. I was feeling like I was having to do all the research and tell doctors or really ask them, hey, can you run this test or that test? During all that, and then shifting to more natural minded, natural, holistic practitioners became a must. I reached that last straw where I was like, okay, something needs to change. I'm not getting any help. I'm just being told, oh, take this or take that. So it was probably about 11 years now that I finally was like, I need to see somebody else. So there was a progression that happened from there. And I'm not going to go into all that here. If you've been around for a while, you've heard different parts of my story with all that. But through that, I had like these waves where, okay, things were starting to seem better, and then all of a sudden they got worse, and then they got better, and then they got worse. And then all of a sudden it was like symptoms just kept getting added. We couldn't figure out why. Like, why are my symptoms like I'm getting new symptoms, I'm getting worsening symptoms, doing all the things, changing my diet, doing things more natural as much as I could, just a lot of different things that were going on. So I started reaching this point of desperation. And a lot of times, what I notice, even with others, this is what I noticed in myself too. You reach that point of desperation where you finally start digging for yourself and start doing some searching. You get online. Now we have the internet these days, which is very helpful because we can do a lot of research online. We obviously need to be careful about the types of websites we are getting our information from, but there's a lot of fantastic, accurate resources available, readily available. So if you're ever told, oh, you're just using Dr. Google, I would say ignore those negative comments. I've heard that a lot, often from people who are in the mainstream medical. They get annoyed with people coming and sharing what they are researching and learning for themselves. I don't know why they get so annoyed, but I've heard it often. And I want to encourage you that it's okay to ask questions. If you're seeing any kind of practitioner who makes you feel as if it's not okay to ask questions, I would say it's time to switch and find a new practitioner who is willing to work with you, who is okay and willing to answer questions or dig deeper into those questions. You really want to make sure you're seeing the right coaches or practitioners that are supportive, encouraging, are open minded, not set in their ways and unwilling to learn about the new information that's out there. Instead, they're stuck with what they're being told by pharma, and they're kind of stuck in that whole profits over people setting. Even though I know they have the best intentions, they want to help people, but and that's why they went into that field, right? They want to help people. However, if they're so stuck in what they've been taught by that industry and they're not willing to learn about other things and learn about new information, that's kind of a dangerous area, to be honest. So, no matter what type of practitioner you see, you definitely want to look for someone who is okay with you asking questions. They don't make you feel dumb, they don't make you feel like you're crazy. You want someone who supports, encourages, who is determined to help you. That's something to look for, okay? And when I finally found practitioners like that, it was like, oh my goodness, total game changer for me. I went from seeing people who were just running test after test after test, not finding anything, everything was quote unquote normal, all these things. Well, then I switch and start seeing natural health practitioners who were looking at the same exact test and things like that, and come to discover that they were seeing the truth of what was in my test and my labs and things that the other practitioners saw no concern with. So I think it's really important that we make sure we're seeing the right type of practitioner, someone who is encouraging, open, willing to learn, willing to work with you, encouraging. So the practitioners I finally just completely switched over to were those people. They became what I call my medical team. They were willing to work with me. I I had the freedom. Like I felt like I had freedom to do my own research out on the side when I wasn't seeing them. And then if there's questions that popped up as a result, I could ask them next time I saw them. Just really had great practitioners. I still have them. I just don't see them as often anymore. But I just had that freedom and always leaving encouraged, not discouraged. That's important to know too. I finally found practitioners where when I left, I didn't feel discouraged. I actually felt really encouraged. I didn't mind going to see them. You know, some people often dread going to the doctor. I used to as well. I didn't like going to doctors. And then suddenly I switched the direction and the type of practitioners, and suddenly I didn't mind going to my appointments because I really left feeling encouraged. I felt like I was being listened to. I felt like I had people on my side who were actively trying to help me and trying to figure out what in the world was going on. And that was a game changer for me. But through all of that on my own, there's a lot of parts of this I was really having to do on my own. And that had to do with my diet. Yeah, I was told that I need to get off gluten and dairy, things like that, because I I have allergies, intolerances, all of that, celiac type stuff going on. But then I also had kidney stones going on, thyroid issues going on. All of these things, we often see different diet protocols to help support these and improve them. But what happens when you're looking into diets to help you reduce your kidney stones, diets to help improve your thyroid health, diets to help improve your digestion? And when you look at all of them, you see foods and things that are contradictory to the others. And so it becomes really stressful and frustrating to know, well, if I eat that, that causes issues with my kidney stone, but it helps my thyroid. Or if I consume that, it's really good for my digestion, but it's not good for this. And I reached that point where I was so stressed out trying to figure out what I should and should not eat because I had so many different issues going on. It was overwhelming. It was stressful, and stress is not helpful to our bodies. So I want to share some things that I was doing that were helpful, but they also created a little bit of stress at one point. Things that I learned along the way as I was doing these things, and what I've learned on the other side of all of it that I think would be really helpful for you to just be aware and maybe calm some of that anxiety and stress that you are maybe currently dealing with as you're going through this whole what is going on. I want to feel better. I want to have more energy. I'm tired of feeling tired all the time. That was where I was at. I was so tired all the time. It was all I could do to get through the day. It literally was all I could do to make it through the workday and get home. I was using every tiny ounce of energy I could, and it was exhausting. So some things I started doing. I started focusing on my thyroid. When I discovered I did have hypothyroidism, something that was not caught by mainstream, but was caught by my naturopath, I did have to get on a prescription for a time, which that's a whole issue as well because we discovered there was milk and gluten in most of those prescriptions. So we had to switch it up and eventually went to a compound pharmacy. So they were able to create the thyroid support that I needed that did not have my allergens in it. So I was on that for a time, for probably a few years. But in that, I was also actively trying to figure out how to eat better, how to eat healthier. It was reducing toxins, really reading ingredient lists, learning how to read ingredient lists, identifying these endocrine disruptors that cause so much stress on the thyroid and our hormones and all the things. So I was not just like taking a prescription and saying, oh, well, I've got hypothyroidism. This is what it is. No, I knew that there was a way to actually improve everything going on. I knew deep down there was a way. I just didn't know exactly how. So I did different diet protocols. I did one that really focused on the thyroid, supporting the thyroid. I did an autoimmune paleo protocol for probably at least 6 months. I was on that. I learned a lot in that. I discovered um, that caffeine was a problem, sugar is a problem. And when I cut some of these things out, I noticed certain symptoms got better because I cut them out. So that protocol was actually really helpful and enlightening. I did that for about 6 months. Then I switched to a low FODMAP diet because of my digestive issues going on. That was recommended by a practitioner, a specialist I had to see. He actually recommended I get on the low FODMAP. So I did that for a while. I have to say that was probably one of the most stressful protocols I was on. But by the time I was on that protocol, I had done multiple diets. Um, and so when I got to the low FODMAP, I think I kind of hit my limit where I was like, okay, once I'm done with this whole low FODMAP thing, which by the way is only meant to be temporary. So if you are doing low FODMAP or you plan to do low FODMAP, it's meant to be a temporary protocol, temporary plan. Okay, so don't do it long term. It's great for helping you to identify some possible issues there. There were certain foods I discovered that when I started reintroducing them back, I could only tolerate a certain amount. So that was really eye-opening. So I mention all this to say, and I did multiple diet protocols and I've done different ones over the years because of all my health issues. But I want to share that to let you know that there's so many different protocols available, and you can easily find them online, or there's books. There's some great protocols out there that I think are great for a time and a season, but most of them are not meant to be long term. Okay. Some of them can be, they can be perfectly fine long term, but there's so many that really it's meant to be temporary. That's what I would recommend. And it's great to help you start identifying possible triggers. This is why I often recommend keeping like a food and mood journal, because that can really be eye-opening as you track every single thing. Track what you eat, track your symptoms, track everything. Track your water intake, your moods, your any symptoms you have, just tracking everything, and then being able to go back and look throughout the week when you've had different symptoms. What did you eat? What were you exposed to over like the 24 hours before that? And it will help you to start identifying those triggers. So the different diet protocols that are out there can be very beneficial for a time. And it's important to just carefully select what you're going to do. Overall, here's the biggest tip I will share with you that I think is probably one of the most effective for so many, and that is just focusing on real foods. I'm going to say that again. Focusing on real foods, real God-created foods, and minimizing the packaged, high-processed foods, getting away from all the drinks that are available that are just loaded with toxins and chemicals and things. When we really just clean up our diet and learn to be more aware about the ingredients that we're putting into our body, it can be an absolute game changer. And it's also a way to reduce your stress of thinking, oh, well, I can't have this particular food because it's bad for, say, kidney stones, or I can't have this particular food because it's bad for my thyroid. I think it's really important that we use caution with those negative ideas and thoughts. Yes, there can be some truth to that, but what I've noticed is just cleaning up my diet has been a game changer. Becoming more aware of what I'm putting into my body is a game changer. So much improvement has happened over the years by just eliminating the toxins as much as I possibly can. Reading ingredient labels and choosing things that are made with real food ingredients if I'm going to choose anything packaged. I would say if you just focus there, you're probably going to notice a significant improvement in your energy, your symptoms, your moods, your sleep, inflammation response, all the things. Okay, so I share about this a lot because I've seen the impact that just cleaning up our diet can have versus following a strict diet protocol, which often just ends up causing more stress, and stress ends up causing more issues. Okay, so if you're feeling very stressed out because you're following a certain diet protocol right now, I want you to have some freedom right now in knowing that if we just focus on real foods, that can release a lot of that stress that you're feeling, that overwhelm that you're feeling. Not to mention, you might just notice a significant boost in your energy. Because instead of being so focused on, oh, I can't have this or I can't have that, and I can only eat this or that, how about we just focus on, is it real food? Am I well hydrated? Am I implementing healthy habits? Am I reducing my exposure to toxins and swapping things out? If you take those simple steps, I bet anything you're going to start noticing significant improvements in your health. Then the extra support comes along if you need it. That's supplements, herbal stuff, any of that can also be beneficial, but we want to start at the very foundations. That can make all the difference. And then add in the extra support during that time if it's necessary. There's a lot of incredible supplements out there that are great to take on a daily basis, depending on the person. You need to know what your specific needs are, what are your specific struggles, and make sure you're reading ingredients on anything you're going to add in. and only take it if it's actually benefiting you. If you're not noticing anything when you're on a supplement, you're only taking it because, oh, this doctor or this influencer or whatever said everyone should take it, you're wasting your money. We all have bio-individual needs, and what works for one person may not work for another. So if you're taking any kind of supplementation and things to help you as you're working on all your health stuff, but you're actually not even noticing a difference, you're not noticing any benefits, it might be time to eliminate that for a while. Your body may not need that right now. Maybe it'll need it later, but it might not need it right now. And if you're taking things where you are actually noticing benefits, noticing a difference, stay on it. You are going to be the best person to know if something is helping you or not. Part of my journey has included a lot of supplements over time. And I have one practitioner who had me on different supplements all the time, and she tested me regularly and all the things. And I did notice that sometimes if I was putting myself on different supplements that were not recommended by that practitioner, sometimes I could tell she wasn't really okay with that. But my naturopath, I remember him telling me one time, because I shared with him one supplement I was on, that I actually noticed benefits with it. Even though when I was being tested by the other practitioner, it would indicate as if maybe my body wasn't liking it. However, I was noticing something else. I was noticing that when I was taking that supplement, certain things were better. So I remember my naturopath, when I told him that, he's like, hey, if you're noticing benefits, keep doing it. He goes, you're going to know better than anybody. Yeah, I can do the muscle testing and things like that. But if I'm personally noticing a difference and noticing benefits, there's nothing wrong with continuing to be on that. Okay, so you're the one who's going to know better than anyone. This is why it's super important to be in tune with your body and know really what's going on. Really pay attention to what's happening so that you will know things that you need to cut out, things that you need to add in, all of that. Okay, so I hope this was encouraging for you and just kind of gives you some freedom knowing that you have power in the choices you make. Those healthy habit changes can make all the difference. So come over to the Facebook community. I'd love to hear from you. What are some changes that you're implementing right now or you plan to implement that you think would be the game changer? What's something we can help hold you accountable to? Even if it's as simple as just learning how to read the ingredient labels, which isn't so simple, but I do have a simple method for that. So feel free to pop over into the Facebook community and ask about that. We can make it very simple, so it won't be so difficult. So if you're like, hey, I need to start learning how to read ingredient labels because I want to clean things up, hop on over to the community and let's start that discussion. I'd be happy to help you with that. I have a very simple method for that that I think has been really helpful for me, and it's been helpful for others as well, because I know how complicated label reading can be when you have no guidance on it. And then maybe you just want to increase your hydration. Maybe that's a big thing you know you need to work on. And honestly, sometimes that's the biggest game changer for people, is they're just walking around dehydrated, didn't even know it until they started increasing their water intake. Suddenly, certain symptoms got better. So it's amazing what water can do. Movement, it's another big one. So many things, so many basic foundational things that we can be working on that can be the game changer. So what are you working on? What do you plan to work on? And let's hold you accountable. So come over to the group and let us know. What are you working on? What do you need help with? What do you need some accountability on? And let's encourage each other and hold each other accountable in those healthy habits we know we need to be working on that just might be exactly what we're needing. Hey friend, I hope you enjoyed today's episode. If so, would you take 30 seconds and leave a quick review for the show on Apple Podcasts? It lights me up to know that this podcast is helping you. Also, please make sure you're subscribed so you never miss an episode, and share this with another woman in your life who would be blessed. Okay, time for me to get up and tackle the rest of my day with more energy and confidence. I'll meet you back here next week for another episode. Talk to you soon.